This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, we now bring you a discussion on significance of naming 21 islands of Andaman and Nicobar Islands after PARAM VIR Chakra awardees. The participants are Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, Defence Expert, and V. Ravi Kumar, AIR Correspondent.
On Parakram Divas, the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi participated in a ceremony to name the 21 largest unnamed islands of Andaman and Nicobar Islands after 21 Param VIR Chakra awardees yesterday via video conferencing. To discuss this, we are joined by Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni. General Kulkarni, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you
General
very
Kulkarni,
much.
let's start by going a step behind. Let's begin by telling us what is the strategic importance of Andaman and Nicobar?
Andaman and Nicobar in the Indian Ocean, there are about 572 of these islands, of which only 37 are inhabited. And these Andaman Islands serve as a boundary between the Bay of Bengal to the west and the Andaman Sea to the east. It's about 150 kilometers from Indonesia, and the Andaman Sea again divides us from Thailand and, of course, Myanmar. So you find that this are so strategically located. I almost call them, they're like aircraft carriers, There's so many of them. 572 islands comprise. They're about total area is about 8,249 square kilometers. A population of about 4 lakhs and a density of about 47 per square kilometer. So imagine the kind so far away, and still one of those things primarily today when Indo-Pacific region has become very much important. And the Chinese forays into the Indian Ocean and the Malacca Strait so close to us, and one of the routes through which maximum energy passes through for China, for Japan, for everyone onto the Southeast Asia, and of course to us. That as a backdrop, I think today Andaman and Nicobar Islands have tremendous strategic importance. And of course, the historical importance, because Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose first unfurled the tricolor in Andaman.
Right, let's just double click on that a bit, General. You talked about China. Of course, China has a large amount of its energy requirements coming through the Malacca Straits. So they have what is known as the Malacca dilemma, that if suddenly the straits are blocked because of some reason, there could be a problem. So India has been beefing up its operations and building of infrastructure in that area. So in that step, how would you see this particular event that we saw yesterday?
The very fact that we have an Andaman and Nicobar command, and it's a tri-services command, so much located over there with the Navy, the Army, the Air Force, the airstrips, though the population-wise, of course, when we say Andaman and Nicobar Islands, the Nicobar Islands have just about 10% of the population. 90% of the population is in the Andaman Islands. But notwithstanding that, the very fact that the Malacca dilemma that we just mentioned about, it's a very narrow strait. And I'm just saying about one or two ships get blocked and can't be moved to the Malacca. Can you imagine? It will be such a long line. Hundreds of ships have to pass every day. And if that was not to happen, then you see what happens on Ring Road or any of these roads that you have. One odd accident on a narrow road and you see the traffic jam which extends to beyond tens of kilometers. Can you imagine that on the sea and in the ocean, if the Malacca Strait gets blocked, all of it, which is ferried through this narrow Malacca Strait across into the South China Sea and then move on to China, Japan, and all over, how much troublesome it would be for all the nations across. And therefore, it has a tremendous amount of importance. And the kind of exercises that we do, primarily, of course, most of the exercises are anti-piracy. They are not targeted at any particular nation. But we've seen how tsunami came. We saw how much of effort and how much of we went out of our way during tsunami to help this island nation, and how much we have helped the other countries holding anti-piracy operations in the Indian Ocean, how much the other countries have benefited from these kind of anti-piracy operations, compatible various disaster reliefs that can take place. So it's a huge thing. In the ocean, we have 572 islands, and you can well imagine these kind of islands spread over almost 8,249 square kilometers. That's the kind of area, that's the kind of islands that we all have, and so many of our population, over 4 lakh people are inhabiting in that area. I think it's a fantastic thing and strategically important tourist destination where lots of people can come, because now you have connectivity through the optical fibers, you have connectivity all over, and I think it's one of those things that we must develop. I think there is now a lot of focus, not just strategically, even from the point of tourism and even from the point of they are our islands, and we must ensure that these islands must be protected, and logically also they must be protected.
General, you mentioned that we're barely 150-200 kilometers from Indonesia, from Andaman. And if you see from Phuket, we're around 500 kilometers. From Myanmar, we are 700 kilometers. Whereas if you see from Chennai, it's almost 1,200-1,300 kilometers. So in that, we saw the former Prime Minister talking about look east. Prime Minister Modi went to act east. Does this now open parameters or possibilities for act Indo-Pacific now?
100%. The whole concept from look east to act east is the very fact that we are there. We don't have to do any extra effort. It is our area. We just have to be there, and we are there now in terms of Navy, in terms of the Air Force, airstrips and the aircraft are concerned, in terms of the Army, foot soldiers that are required to be there. All of it exists over there. And you see how important and how close we are. Just about 150 kilometers from Indonesia, from Thailand, from Myanmar. In fact, two of the islands, the Coco Island and Filsari Island, is of the Burmese are located over there, closer to Myanmar. So in that context, I think it's very important, and the $5 trillion trade that passes along the Malacca Strait from the South China Sea towards the Indian Ocean, from the Indian Ocean to the South China Sea and into the Pacific, I think it's tremendous. And therefore, the importance of Andaman and Nicobar Island in terms of its location, which is absolutely strategic location, and in terms of a presence over there, I think it gives tremendous amount of confidence to all the ocean states, and it also allows larger countries to cooperate with us to ensure that the sea lanes of communication are kept open and the rule of law is observed, and that nobody would prevent anybody else from getting into what is known as the international waters.
General, you've now established the strategic significance of Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Now let's look at the historical significance of naming these 21 largest unnamed islands. What is the historical significance? You briefly talked about the tricolor unfurling by Netaji in this place. Talk to us about this, the historical significance of this place.
See, when Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose started and laid the foundation for the Azad Hind Force, it was in Andaman in 1943 on the Ross Island that he first unfurled the tricolor. The tricolor isn't the one that we have today. It was a different color, tricolor, but the tricolor. And we still call our national flag the tricolor. So with that as a backdrop, in 1943, and it is only on the 15th of August 1947, we look at it that we have actually got our independence. But imagine the unfurling and the kind of recognition that Azad Hind Force got from the various countries, that he could sort of unfurl the tricolor on the Ross Island, which now gets named as Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Dweep, and a national memorial is to come up in that area. And now 21 of these largest unnamed islands being named after the Param Veer Chakra winners, I think is tremendous. It fills all our heart with pride. It raises the morale of the armed forces. It makes them feel they are just not the 21 Param Veer Chakras we look at it. They represent the armed forces, because the Param Veer Chakra winners are the ones who have actually laid down their lives, and only 3 of them are living today: Bhana, Yogendra Yadav and Sanjay Kumar. So it's taken in years for the recognition that has come. And what better than naming 21 of the largest islands over there after this Param Veer Chakra winner? It's a connect, raises the morale, it inspires people, it makes the feel-good factor. I think it's very important for a soldier is that he should feel motivated. He should feel that the whole nation stands behind him. He will not give 100%, he'll give 500% once his morale is high.
Truer words never spoken. A great country remembers and honors its martyrs and veterans. You mentioned that these 21 largest inhabited islands were unnamed hitherto. One question that comes is, why were they unnamed so far?
There are about 572 islands. Only 37 are inhabited. And so many small islands. Lovely, beautiful. If ever you get a chance, or anybody, I would look at it that everybody from the nation, whoever gets a chance, must visit these places, because the tourism has picked up, and it's picked up a lot. It has doubled almost over the last about 10 odd years, the way the tourism has gone up over there. And a lot of people do visit and see what it is like. And the population there is very, very polite, very hospitable. And surprisingly, it's the Calcutta High Court which has a bench at Port Blair. So a lot of good connectivity from Chennai, connectivity from Kolkata. So there is so much to feel good that these are our islands in the Indian Ocean, not very far from Indonesia and Thailand, and being part of it, strategically located, and what better it could be with a lovely national memorial in honor of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is to come up on the Ross Island, which has got now named after him, and they have also named Havelock and Neil as Swaraj and Shaheed. They have that VIR Savarkar International Airport over there. It's a fantastic thing. It's a good feel factor that so much of ours exists in the Indian Ocean, which is now getting its due recognition.
You mentioned the tourism potential, of course, and that was an excellent advertisement for the beauty of the islands, and I'm sure many people who are listening to it would be encouraged to visit these places. But you also mentioned trade in passing, and I was just reading that there's some 17,000 crore transshipment terminal in Great Nicobar that is going to be built in the coming times. How do you see the trade potential because of these islands being developed?
See, over a period of time, we're looking at becoming a $5 trillion economy. The kind of stress being laid on Atmanirbhar, the fact that you're looking at Ek Bharat, Shresht Bharat, in that context, and our own presence in the Indian Ocean, which is by far the most important presence in the Indian Ocean, with those kind of cargo terminals coming up, we're looking at world as one. I think it's a great trade boost. It's on the main route for the trade, which right now is approximately $5 trillion along this route of Indian Ocean going down to the Pacific. So this is going to boost not only own trade factor, even subsequently also. I would look at it that it can even become a great reservoir, even for energy holding, and then subsequent supply from there to wherever we wish to. So it's a fantastic thing. It can boost our trade. It can make the $5 trillion economy just not by 2030, but maybe a little before that, because the whole world is under recession. India is one of those few countries likely to develop at almost 6.5 or 6.7% as what the forecast is from the IMF and the World Bank and our own RBI. I think at that context, I think we have a fantastic base already existing, and we should be able to get to not just a $10 trillion economy at the earliest, if not late.
General, you helped us understand the strategic significance, the historical significance, the trade significance, and the tourism potential and the significance of these islands. Let's also now talk about this Indian Ocean region, which has got a lot of rare earth elements and minerals. That also is a potential that is hitherto unexplored. How do you see the development of these islands contributing to these areas as well?
Most of these islands have not been exploited or explored from that point of view, because ecologically we didn't want to sort of disturb them. Again and again we mention over 572 islands, just a few habited, and most of these islands are inhabited and huge ones named after the Param Veer Chakra. But yes, now that you mentioned the rare earth material available over there, which we can look up to and see, and if that comes up, I think the semiconductor things that are required in automobile, which are required in all computers, are very, very important. And if we can strike, if we really go in for that kind of a development, because there's a lot that we can do, because we have our ocean research vehicles over there to find out what exactly is available there. Besides, of course, the fishery, this rare earth material is a huge thing that can come up. That yes, if we can even explore, or if you're lucky enough to discover oil over there, it'll be a big boon to our economy. I think it has tremendous potential, and that potential has to be harnessed, and we are just about stepping up to see that this entire area of ours is being looked into as something which can add on to our economy, be it in terms of tourism, be it in terms of raw material, maybe rare earth material, in terms of oil, in terms of the cargo, in terms of ensuring that the sea lanes of communication are free of piracy, that we can help people in terms of disaster, maybe something like tsunami happened, and we saw that how the Indian Navy rushed to help the island nations in and around. So I think it has a tremendous potential which we have realized, and we must now use it for the good of our country.
So many possibilities. I'm sure this will open new vistas for India's maritime strategy as well. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, thank you so much for joining us on this program and helping us understand this. And thank you for your service.
Thank you. Jai Hind.
You were listening to a discussion on significance of naming 21 islands of Andaman and Nicobar Islands after Param Veer Chakra awardees. The participants were Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, defense expert, and V. Ravi Kumar, AIR correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.